M11-P, and I'm going to try to compose the G-Class with the building from Hotel des Roches Rouges as good as possible. Just listen to that shutter sound. That's actually one of the reasons that you should go for an M camera, because it feels so rigid, it feels so analog still actually. My preferred way to shoot with the M11 is to pull the focus through the viewfinder and then double check your composition on the screen itself, because to my experience the composition never really looks the same as what you see through the viewfinder. So I always like to double check and then also double check the focus and then take the picture. Of course, if I'm shooting more casually or I'm in a rush, I will pull the focus through the viewfinder and then take a picture and then hope for the best, let's say. And so, welcome to the Mercedes G-Class. This in specific is the G450d, which is equipped with a 6-cylinder engine. And we're actually driving, I just love the sound when those doors lock. Basically, I've always imagined myself doing these kind of trips. And for me, this was actually a very good opportunity to plan certain sceneries and to just be creative, because in environments like this, I feel like my creativity is at its best because you have such beautiful scenery. By the way, I took some lovely gear with me as well, because the people from Leica Lille hooked me up with a Leica M11-P to shoot with during this trip. And honestly, I've taken the most awesome pictures also with my Q343. I will show you some of the pictures we took on the screen right now. Especially that olive green color on the outside of the car matches so well with the scenery around here, especially the blue colors from the sea. Now onto the G-Class itself. We actually started off our road trip in Brussels, where we picked up the car, and then we drove off immediately towards Italy, towards Castello di Tabiano, which is actually an estate from friends of ours, people who I met recently, in fact. We did a wonderful shoot at the castle with their dogs. It was insane how well that turned out. I'll show you it on the screen right now. Like, come on, those dogs, the G-Class, the castle. And then we drove off to the south of France, where I'm currently driving. I'm now driving in Saint-Raphaël because we just had lunch at Les Roches Rouges. It's a place that friends of ours recommended, and actually it was really good. But then actually the roads we took from Italy to Monaco we drove. Wow, if you know anything about those roads, the scenery there is just impeccable. Also because you drive towards the coast, so you will slowly see the coast revealing as you're driving onwards. It's a nice drive to do, and we drove there at sunset, so the scenery was as it should be, for real. It's always fun and games in the mountains, especially when locals are like, putain! More on the Leica cameras that I took. So I took my personal Q343, which means that it has a 43mm lens. And unlike most people say, specifically the Q3 users with the 28mm lens, that it's too tight, that the 43mm lens doesn't really fit the meaning of the Q3. But actually I find for my kind of work that the lens is ideal, because I take a lot of portraits, and I also like to have, especially around here, a lot of scenery around the car. And it's not that it's not possible with the 43, but I find it to capture the scenery in a different and more cinematic way, actually. Absolutely love that camera. And then, as I told you, I also got to take the M11-P from Leica Store Lille. And that camera is just so lovely to use. The only downside is that, of course, it's all manual. So you do have to take your time to compose, because also it doesn't have an electronic viewfinder. So you need to take your time to, you know, stand in front of the car, do your focus, manually pull your focus, of course. I am the kind of guy that puts all of the settings in manual. With the Q3, I mostly shoot manual as well, but you know, oftentimes it's easy to just put it in automatic and just shoot away. Like here in the sun, for example, the light changes continuously. From time to time, it's just easy, you know, to use the technology the camera is equipped with to then just shoot away and not having to worry about any of the settings. Now, with the M11-P, you can of course put the shutter speed on automatic, the ISO on automatic, but I'm the kind of guy to just fully shoot manual, to go all in. That makes it a little more hard, especially because it doesn't have an EVF. Now there are rumors that there is going to be an M11 that's going to be released soon with an EVF, so I'm looking forward to that. But the reason I took the M11-P on this trip is because here I got to take the time to compose, take the time to put the settings right, to pull the focus, you know. It was such a great camera to take along, and especially because I took it with the 28mm lens. So that means that I had my Q343 for the portraits, for the more cinematic shots, and I had the M11P for, let's say, the behind the scenes, for the photos where I did need a little bit more of a wide angle. So for that reason, it was great to have the M11P with me. I asked my wife for her opinion on which camera she prefers, and she was like neutral about it. She did tell me that it took a whole lot longer for me to, you know, take a good picture with the M11, whereas with the Q3 it's more of a point and shoot camera. So yeah, of course it's a learning curve. As you grow with an M camera, as you're getting more used to it, of course you're gonna be way faster, maybe even more efficient than you are with a Q camera, for example. Also, I actually really like the concept of taking an M camera while driving a G-Class, because in my opinion they sort of correlate with each other, in the sense of Leica, of course, being a German brand, which is a great match, but just the way that it still feels so analog, and the G-Class does as well, in my opinion. You know, the way the doors open and close, as you heard earlier, the sound when it locks, the feeling in here, of course, like the buttons and stuff, it's just modern day Mercedes, so it's not specifically made for the G-Class. I mean, the buttons to lock the chassis, it all still feels true to what it's supposed to be. And that's the exact same feeling I have with the Leica M, because of course that camera is also equipped with a lot of modern day technology, but it still feels like what it's supposed to be. It's a camera that shoots freaking good photos. You know, it's a nice object on its own. For some people, then again, it's more about the aesthetics than what it actually does, which I can very well imagine is the exact same with the G-Class. But still, the ethos behind the G-Class, the Leica M, remains to be the same. It's made to be used, actually, and that's why I find it a shame as well when people see these objects as just for the aesthetics, because these things should amplify your work. They shouldn't define who you are. They should just amplify what you are doing, and that I find a very important one to note as well, because, you know, it's easy to get carried away in all of the materialistic stuff, especially when you're doing things like this, you know, doing photography from nice cars. It's easy to get carried away, but lately I like to just tone it down a notch and be very grateful for what you're using. Be very mindful as well, like, do I really need this camera? Like, do I really need this lens, for example, to better my work? Or is it just me that is convincing myself of needing all of this equipment in order to make better videos or better photos? I'm getting a little carried away with the philosophy here, I'm sorry. About the G-Class itself, the consumption was great. It's 6:30 a.m. currently, and I am just driving up to the local bakery here. I did quickly want to touch upon how I, up until here, experienced this G-Class. Overall, consumption-wise, it's a great car on the highway. It's like 9 to 10 liters average. But the thing is, once you're driving in the city like I'm doing right now, you're averaging about 13-14 liters, which is, I mean, it's, for a car like this, it's great, of course, but it's still quite a lot. But anyways, that aside, because for me that's not what a G-Class is about. A G-Class is about road presence, it's about going off-road, of course, and actually road presence is something that this car does exceptionally well. The way the car feels is what's actually most important to me, like the way the doors open, the sound, for example, that you heard when I was driving away when the doors locked, the steering, it's not too heavy, it just has a nice heaviness to it when you steer. The flat dashboard, it then reminds me of the flat windshield that I have in front of me, which, by the way, is not so good if you're driving on the highway, because it catches flies like instantly. Now that we're talking about highway driving, the fact that we have the off-road package equipped is not so great for highway driving, because you have a lot of drone noise, like a lot of wind that's blowing through. It does add some character to this car, and it kind of made this into a thumbs up car, because everywhere you go with this thing, either people are like, nice, or even if you're outside of the car, they'll talk to you and they'll be like, good guy you are, which I literally experienced in Monaco when the car was parked outside. Someone was like, hey, you're a good man driving that car. I was like, okay, thanks. Now that I'm using the gear selector here, I actually quite like it in a car like this, because you don't want to, you know, like reach down here for something. It's just in reach, it's very handy to use. Models where I don't like it are like the sportier Mercedeses, but here in the G-Class it's actually quite practical. Also, the way that your arm always has to rest on top of the door sill is actually so funny, because we are all used to having our arm resting here, But in this car it's just not practical to do so, so you have to rest your arm here, which is actually quite nice because you really feel on top of the car, and that's in this car a feeling I can appreciate. The driving modes, honestly, I just left it in comfort for the whole trip, because like, why would you want your G-Class, especially a diesel, to be in sport mode? But so I left it in comfort for the whole trip, and the suspension was doing a great job. The only thing though, in corners it just still feels like a heavy boat, and that's what it is as well. It's just one heavy car. You know, the weight of everything, for example, if you close the door, it feels heavy. And as well as the back door, like with the tire mounted on there, because normally G-Classes have like this fancy tire. We just have a naked tire on there because, yeah, it's equipped with the off-road package. It has to match the aesthetic of the car, of course. But yeah, when you close that door, it's so heavy to do so, especially when you're parked downwards on a hill. It's so heavy to push it back up again. But yeah, it's part of the charm of this G-Class. Now I do have to say, if you're not used to these doors and you don't properly open them, they tend to block themselves, like halfway through opening them. So just be careful with that. If you're just driving a G-Class for one of the first times and you're not used to it, you should always firmly press the door in order to open it, because if you don't, then yeah, it could be that the door blocks itself. But then anyways, you still have some other doors that you can open and get inside the car, of course. To quickly touch upon the space in the back, I wouldn't want to be a passenger in there, and I'm a fairly small guy. So, you know, the cabin in here, it's a myth that a G-Class is very spacious on the inside, because it's such a small cabin actually, and the rear seats are fairly compact. So yeah, it's great to put some stuff back there, but not at all to be a passenger, and not for a long drive like this at all. And then you don't see it right now, but you still have the handle here to which the passenger can hold when you're doing off-road. In here you have some cup holders which are actually heated and cooled, which is so practical in this kind of weather. Although I must say that when you put it in just like a plastic bottle, the bottles are often too small, so actually this cooler doesn't do anything because it doesn't touch the side of the cup holders. This car is also equipped with the Burmester surround sound system, which is lovely. Also, the way the sound resonates in here couldn't be any better in my opinion. So yeah, especially when you're doing a road trip and you have a good sound system equipped, always happy me. Then on the steering wheel you have a lot of these touch controls, which I don't like. Not at all, not a fan, because you can accidentally touch them and then you're like in the wrong menu, or all of a sudden you bumped up the volume of your radio to whatever obscene amount it is. So yeah, that's that for my quick G-Class summary, and I am sure that there will be some more things that I want to touch up on later on. So I'd say leave it at this for now, and then let's check in later on when there is some more stuff to talk about. Got the goods from the bakery. Also, there is on the door, there's written G here on the button that you have to press to open the door. That's so cool actually.
We got some fresh orange juice. It was freshly pressed.
Yes.
We got a brownie. We've had this brownie almost every single day. It is a brownie with almonds inside. It's so good. It's one of the best brownies we've had.
Like, it's actually really good, that brownie.
Then we've got this, they call this the cake salé. It is a salted cake with olives. It's a bit of a olive bread type of thing.
Yes.
And then we got a brioche with butter and chocolate.
A lot of butter.
Yeah, we also had this yesterday. It was really good. And then lastly, from Mimi Factory, we got a petite tartelette aux framboises. So it's a very small,
cute
raspberry tart. Also, we're not eating all of this at once. We're just like
exactly
throughout the drive. So
okay, so that's that for what we got as breakfast here at the local bakery. And now it's onwards to Geneva. I'd say let's hit the road. So we're just debating here on which route to take, but this route on the right here is gonna drive us past the coast side of Monaco again, which we love, which we really appreciate to do again. So yeah, instead of taking this route, we're taking this one, which is actually a few kilometers short of the other one. So that's a win-win actually. We just crossed the border to Italy. We just filled up our car, which was a hefty one because it was almost empty. And I think if we go and check right now, you'll see that the fuel range here, it's about 1,000 kilometers, as you can see right here. So that's okay, but it's because we've been doing a lot of mountain driving right now that the car is getting a little less efficient. So now that we're doing a lot of highway driving, I hope the car is going to get a little more efficient, that we can get more towards averaging the 10 to 11 liters of consumption. I just had a little espresso in there as well because, I mean, if you're in Italy, you should. So yeah, and now let's continue. So Dalia, we have now successfully arrived in
Geneva.
We had a smooth drive. We drove through the mountains in Swiss as we were really looking forward to.
We drove through the Mont Blanc tunnel.
Yeah, exactly.
What is-
Mont Blanc tunnel was nice.
A tunnel.
Yeah. But anyway, we're now just going to end the day here and have some relaxed
Sushi,
dinner
hopefully.
together. Some
We want to
sushi,
find a
actually.
sushi place by the water, but it doesn't seem like we're gonna have a lot of luck.
No, exactly.
I do love the swans though. They're one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's nice that they have
animals.
them in the water here.
Little birds.
But we do like the place, so all in all, it was a good day still. We did a lot of driving, but now we deserve some time off.